welcome to Don't Trust the Neighbours. I am Kirsty.
And I'm Olivia. And I've got a bit of admin today, and I've also got an intro topic. I just wanted to say that for our last episode regarding the Warwick University rape chat scandal, we were talking a lot about how we didn't know who the boys were, but I actually did find the boys, well, some of the boys, I think it was only about 3 of them that were involved in the chat. And we're not going to go into all of it now, but we're going to leave a link below. And also, it turns out they're racist as well as just the rest of it.
Well, of course.
And we'll put a link to the article in the description. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about this Jake Paul, Keemstar, and the sexual assault allegations really quickly.
Go for it, mate.
So I heard about it today from the Sesh podcast with Kendall Ray. The gist is, TikToker Justine Paradise came out against Jake Paul and accused him of sexual assault. She's waited 2 years to come out with her side of the story because she signed an NDA, which was required of all guests attending this house party where this event happened at. And they both met several times, June and July in 2019, at his stupid Team 10 house, kissing in the corner of a room, which she said she was fine with, as she did think that he was cute. He took her up to his bedroom, they danced and kissed until he took her over to his bed. He started to fill her up, touching her in places she didn't want to be touched, and so she pushed him away, and he said, "If nothing's going to happen, what's the point?"
It's just like such a piece of meat as well, isn't it? It's just such an attitude of, well, if you're not going to let me shag you, what's the point? And that makes you a disgusting human being.
Jake Paul, allegedly, for fuck's sake, he did, forced her to have oral sex and then was called with her the rest of the evening and never spoke to her again. And Paul responded to these accusations by saying he's a mother's boy and he does respect women.
Shut your absolute face. It's just, I'm not being funny, but you're not having like a normal, legit, legal house party if you're making people sign NDAs before they go there, are you?
And he's been accused multiple times of drugging girls that go to this party. So Keemstar, after all this, was going to post on his main drama channel, which I'm not going to say the name of because screw him. And he said before he posts the drama update on his drama, not drama, it's the sexual assault accusation on his main channel, he took to, I think it was Twitter, and he said, "Before I post anything on my main channel, I want to reach out just in case I've missed anything, but I don't understand the physics. Couldn't she have just pulled her face away?" She was 17 at the time, Jake Paul was 20, and he was I think he was a boxer then. He was definitely training to box KSI or whatever. He's really strong. He's been a boxer his whole life. And also, Keemstar is a father to a daughter.
It's just such an attitude as well. Well, can she just pull her face away? And there is such a thing as like the mental side of rape, like the mental, well, just do it, just do it, just do it, just do it. That's forcing someone. That's also not consent. Just because they give in and do it doesn't mean it's not rape.
I couldn't believe that he said that because sometimes he can be so nail on the head with like issues, but in this he really messed up, and I can't believe people still think like this. Like, there were people commenting saying that they agree with him.
I hate it. I hate this whole thing. It's just the whole same thing as the whole Michael Jackson drama, isn't it? Not drama, just abuse, child abuse. Oh, Michael, he's such a good guy. He could never do this. You like his music. You're a fan of his music. You don't know him. You've never met him. You have no idea who this person is. Just because you like someone's music doesn't mean they're not a bad person. And I really hate this whole quote unquote stan mentality where if you're a fan of someone, you have to support them through and through. You can't ever question anything about them. No, you can. You absolutely can. And this is how people like this get away with it. That's how Michael Jackson got away with being a paedophile, because people like him, people like fans and that hardcore fans supported him and backed him. And how in the name of hell was that jury at any of his trials not biased?
Yeah, that just made me really angry. If you can't understand the physics of how he would have managed to make her do that, just like think about it for literally a second.
Yeah.
Like, he was older than her, stronger than her. She was probably drunk or otherwise.
A little bit starstruck as well. And I'm not saying that on her negatively on her at all whatsoever. That puts an advantage on him because he has leverage over her. So, yeah. Shall we move on to talking about another shit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's move on from one and go straight to another. So for today's venture into true crime, and to discuss this particular shit we're going to talk about today, we are headed to Boynton Beach, Florida. I know this is our first trip to Florida, but as a true crime podcast, we're going to be going there a lot because for some reason, really weird stuff happens in Florida all the bloody time.
It's a weird place. I'd love to go there. I'd also be terrified to go there.
You know what, though? I'm so scared to go there now. So years ago, I watched this film. I think it was called The Paperboy. And it's the weirdest film I've ever seen. It had Nicole Kidman, John Cusack, and, oh God, what's his name? You know, the guy who just makes a living off saying, all right, all right, all right.
Matthew McConaughey?
That's him, that dick. So they were in this movie, and it was about this guy who'd gone to prison, said he didn't do it, and then there's a whole weird thing, like Nicole Kidman's one of those people that write to prisoners and fall in love with them. There's some weird ass scenes in it, but basically he lives in the swamps in Florida, and the swamp people now just scare me in Florida. I don't ever want to go there.
Yeah, I know, because I'm writing about a case at the moment where there's basically loads of people go missing because they just get dumped in the swamps. Because they're huge.
I know. Did you hear about that woman who she didn't laugh, but she got lost in the sewers of Florida for like 3 weeks?
How did she survive?
I don't want to ask myself this question, Olivia. Every time I think, what did she survive on? I think, nope, can't go there.
I didn't even think about what she'd eat. Oh.
Exactly. Can you imagine just like, how does one go swimming in a river to being lost in the sewers for 3 weeks? I don't understand why she doesn't walk back the way she came.
I'm scared of the snakes and I'm scared of the alligators. I don't think I'm alone on that one, but I would just be thinking about, oh my God, I'm going to turn a corner and there's going to be a snake or something.
Yeah. To be fair, if I go to Florida, it's going to be to burn SeaWorld down, but that's another story for another day. Anyway, enough about our issues with Florida. So for today's case, at the start of it, I'm going to do a little bit of scene setting. So imagine, Olivia, you're at the gym, it's early morning, and you stop your workout to check your phone and you have a missed call and you listen to the voicemail. It's a police sergeant telling you that you need to come home now. Imagine running out of the gym, rushing home to find... Yeah, can't relate. Gym in the morning? Nah.
In the morning.
In the morning. I cycle to work, that's it. Deal with it, people.
I don't even get Tom to drive me most days.
You know what? I say I cycle to work, but I've been working at home for the last year during the pandemic, so I walk down my stairs at the moment. So you rush home from the gym and you get home to find your house, the outside of it covered in crime scene tape, police and ambulance with blue flashing lights outside. And there is a police sergeant there telling you that your husband has been shot and killed. What would your reaction be?
Probably just fall on the ground.
Yeah. Well, this was Dalia Dippolito's action. I'll pop it in here so y'all can have a listen.
I'm Sergeant Ramsey. I'm the one that called you. Thank you for coming. I'm sorry to call you. Listen, we had a report of a disturbance at your house, and there were shots fired. Is your husband Michael? Okay, I'm sorry to tell you, ma'am. He's been killed. He's been killed, man. I'm sorry.
No, he's not.
Listen.
No.
Try to calm down.
No.
Listen. Right now, we need to get you to the station.
No.
We need to get you to our police station. I can't let you stay, man. We have to do our job. If you want us to find his killer, okay? We need you to calm down. I'm gonna need you to go with these detectives, okay? Does he have enemies? Is there anyone that would want to hurt him? Okay.
So that was her reaction. And there's no set laws as to what grief is, but a bit over the top. What do you think, Olivia? Yeah, because the thing is, the minute Dalia Dippolito got that phone call from the police and she left her gym, she knew exactly what the police were going to tell her when she arrived home that morning. This is the story of Dalia Dippolito. It's a classic true crime love story. And by that, I mean boy meets girl, they fall in love, and one of them ends up being a narcissistic psychopath, which tragically is pretty much every relationship I've ever been in.
Go the same.
Yeah. So we're going to go back to the very beginning of this love story, when Romeo should not have said yes, on October 4th, 2008, when Dalia, then Mohammed, was working as an escort. And she was called by a man, Mike Dippolito, to come to his home, as he was home alone because his wife was out of town and wanted a little bit of company.
Oh, aye.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's like several other ways to have company when your wife's out of town, but whatever.
Try friends.
Exactly. Oh, my wife's gone. Shit, I better call an escort. Nothing else to do.
His family are going away in a couple of months' time, and I was straight away like organising a house party.
Yeah, you're gonna have to scrap that, Olivia, and call the escort. That's how it's done.
Yeah.
Although after this story, you might think twice. After placing this call, Dalia arrived at Mike's, where apparently she made quite the impression. 5 minutes, because just 2 weeks after this meeting, Mike had filed for divorce from his wife and had proposed to Dalia with a $25,000 ring. And just 2 weeks after the divorce was final, they married.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I know.
That's no good.
It's no good. Mike was going to live to regret this decision quite a lot.
Mike was just living his hot girl summer.
He really was. And this is the thing about Mike. He seems like a decent guy, but he is constantly making pretty horrific life choices. I don't think he's a bad person, but he is not the sharpest tool in the shed when it comes to life choices. Let's put it that way. When he phoned for Dalia, Mike was actually on parole. He's not due to come off parole until 2032. In 2001, Mike was convicted of a fraud charge for conning people out of hundreds of thousands of dollars, and spent 7 months in prison, but the rest of his sentence is being served on parole. So pretty epic bad decision there, conning people out of money. And then calling an escort whilst on probation, also not the best idea ever, but whatever. He needed the company.
Messing with karma there.
Yeah. So when they first married in February 2009, they seemed like the perfectly happy newlywed couple. Dalia was all over Mike in public, playing the part of the doting wife, and to all the world, their life seemed absolutely perfect. As I mentioned, Mike was on parole, and on March the 12th, 2009, his probation officer, along with a police officer, turned up at their front door and say they've received an anonymous call reporting that he has been selling steroids and cocaine out of the house. Obviously, dealing drugs is a massive parole violation, so they conduct a thorough search of the premises and absolutely nothing is found. So Mike's a little bit rattled by this because he's not dealing drugs and he couldn't figure out who would even think to call in a tip like that. And yeah, he's not letting it go, really. You all right?
Yeah, I think I just got it.
So, welcome, Olivia. Welcome. Yeah.
It was just a bit weird.
Bit weird. The following week, with Mike still really unsettled by this visit from his parole officer, Dalia, the ever-loving wife, suggests a weekend away to Palm Beach so he can chill, relax, and they can spend some quality couple time together. The weekend is a pretty normal romantic weekend away. Dalia was over attentive, attending to every need, making sure he's relaxed. But the morning they're due to go home, again, the police call and ask Mike to meet them at his car, as they've had another call that he is in parole violation and is selling drugs from his car. This time his car is searched and again, nothing is found. So they go home from their weekend away and Mike is pretty down by this. He's really stressed out. He's really anxious about these fake calls. He's never violated parole. And other than his fraud charge, which is pretty serious to be fair, he's never had any other run-ins with the police. So 2 weeks go by and nothing really happens. Things kind of go back to normal. Dalia withdraws quite a bit of money from the accounts, but Mike thinks nothing of it. Even though 2 weeks have passed when nothing's really happened parole violation-wise, his mood's still not lifting. He's really depressed about this. And Dalia suggests to go out for dinner just to get refreshed, start again, get over it.
Is at this point you kind of feel like your freedom is being threatened for something you
Exactly.
can't control?
And you've got no idea where these calls are coming from either. So it's not even as if they can say, well, Bob across the street called and said you're doing this. It's an anonymous call, so he has no idea who he's pissed off enough to be calling in these fake calls. So they go out for dinner. When they're leaving the restaurant, guess what Mike's met with at his car? Police and patrol officer. Yeah. Again, they've had another anonymous tip that he's selling drugs from his car. They searched the car again, and this time a really tiny, minuscule packet of cocaine inside a cigarette packet was found inside the petrol cap. So Mike tests his innocence, and insists he's being framed and is really, really stressed out about this. And for some reason, the police believe him and he wasn't arrested, which is actually quite bad policing when you think about it.
If they hadn't have found the cocaine,
Mhm.
then they would have like serious reason to think, okay, we've had like 3 anonymous calls now
Yeah,
where it's led to nothing.
yeah.
Maybe someone is, but it's the fact they did find it.
Well, this is why they did, because they'd had the 2 anonymous calls with no result, and it was such a minuscule portion of cocaine, and it was hidden in such a strange place. Like, apparently, like a drug dealer wouldn't really hide such a small bit of cocaine in a cigarette packet in the petrol like cap. So they
That's probably
believed
more
him.
for personal use,
Yeah, well,
which is
yeah,
still a violation.
it's
but-
still a violation, but he wasn't arrested. So, good that he wasn't arrested. Slightly bad policing. Moving on. They're on their way home from dinner, and suddenly it clicks with Mike that when they're on the trip and they're out at the restaurant, Dalia's the only person who knew where they were. Took you a while, Mike, but well done. As Dalia was driving home, he asks her, have you called the police? Is it you that's calling in these tips? And she did not like this line of questioning at all.
Is she driving?
Yeah,
Is he driving?
she's driving. So instead of just answering, no, wasn't me, she goes into full-on road rage mode. She speeds the car to 190 miles per hour going down the road and just screams at him, how could you think I would do that? That wasn't me. I'm your wife. How could you think this of me? Calling him crazy, completely gaslighting him until he apologizes.
I have this ex that for my birthday, he didn't want to come out with me.
Yeah.
And I went out on my birthday because I was celebrating me. And then I
Yeah.
got drunk. And then the next morning, he rung me up at like 8 a.m. I was hungover as hell, but really wanted to see him. And then he drove me into Oxford, but he was like swerving on the road because he knew I was hungover. And literally, he had to pull up and I threw up outside the car.
What a twat. I'd have just thrown up in his car.
I had a stupid Audi as well.
Valley, that bitch. The next morning, after Mike kind of clicking that Dalia's the only person that knew where they were, and she's like, shit, he might suspect me, Dalia's miraculously pregnant and announced to Mike, I'm pregnant, we're going to have a baby.
Was she actually pregnant?
No.
Oh,
But poor Mike is so happy. He's like over the moon they're going to have a baby. So that day, they go shopping for baby things in the morning. They get home, and in the afternoon, Dalia is like, oh, I've got some errands to run. And she texts her ex-boyfriend, Michael Stanley, who from now on, I'm just going to refer to as Stanley, so there's not 2 Mikes in this section. She texts him, baby, I miss you so much. I want to fuck. Call me XOXO.
is she trying to get pregnant from him or something?
Well, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay.
So Stanley agrees to meet her that day. And at this meeting, she tells Stanley that she has to call her husband, pretend to be a lawyer. During this call, he has to tell Mike that the only way to get off parole and away from the now seemingly endless raids is to sign his house over to her so the deeds are in her name.
Mike should get a lawyer of his own and be like, can you fact check this, please?
Well, Stanley makes this call to Mike and then is dropped quicker than a lead balloon. But for some reason, and Lord only knows why, Mike believes this call. And a few days later, he goes with Dalia and gets the deeds of the house transferred over to her name. Yeah, if anyone ever asks you to transfer the deeds of your house over to their name, don't do it, run. Change the locks and run. No good can ever come of you transferring your house deeds over to someone else. And then I suppose as well, like to people who have like quite advanced like dementia and stuff, but that's a whole different ball game.
I have no idea how housing
Yeah.
law works.
No. But in basic dating marriage terms, if someone says sign your house over to me, tell them to fuck off. I feel so bad for him though, because he clearly loves her so much. He thinks that she's having his baby and she's just an utter psychopath. Do you know who she reminds me of? Casey Anthony.
Yeah, when I looked her up earlier, I was like, she looks like Casey Anthony. She
Yeah.
looks kind of like, I don't know, like put together or just like clean. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
But they all do, don't they?
yeah, that's true. But yeah, she gives off such Casey Anthony vibes quite like later on in the episode, and we'll cover it and I'll talk about it then. But yeah, I was reading it, I was like, oh, she reminds me of her, which is instant like, ew. Dahlia's like super happy because her plan has succeeded and she has the house in her name. But there's one major flaw. Her calls, anonymous calls to the police, aren't getting him arrested. And in case you have not figured out yet, that is Dalia making these fake calls. Where have you been for this episode? She decides to take things up another level because she wants the bank accounts and the house to her name and no one else's. So she wastes zero time in finalizing her ultimate plan. The day after the house is in her name, she texts another ex, Mohammed Shahadi, and asks him to meet her. Again, wanna fuck, baby? Wanna meet up? How's it going? So when they're together in his car, she outright asks him, can you hire a hitman for me so he can kill my husband?
Oh my god. She thinks she's so slick.
I know.
I'm going to use all of my men to kill my man.
Oh yeah, she's someone who's got through her life like completely using powers of persuasion over men. Yeah. But poor Mohammed, like, he's in this car thinking he's like like a quickie with his ex, and she's like, yeah, do you want to partake in like solicitation of murder with me?
Oh my god.
What would you do? Like, what would you actually do in this situation?
I don't, because it would obviously be really scary if I was like, are you actually wanting to kill someone? I think I'd be scared for my own life, but also I just, massive blue balls, isn't it? That doesn't exist, by the way. I found that out the other week.
FYI.
Yeah. So ladies, basically, I found out that blue balls isn't a thing. It's just something that men say to get you into bed so you feel sorry for them.
How did you only just learn this? It's stuff like this, Olivia, that makes me love you so much on a daily basis.
I think I heard it on, no, it's on TikTok. I found it on TikTok. It was some girl where it was like, I'm just exposing this to everyone now.
You're literally one of the best people I know. You're so funny.
I saw it and I was like, I have to tell people about this.
So while the rest of us freak out, Mohammed and his non-blue balls stays really calm. And he tells her, I need time to think about it and figure out who I could ask and ask around, and I'll get back to you. So as soon as their quote-unquote meeting ends, Mohammed drives straight to the police and was like, dudes, this bitch has just asked me to hire someone to kill her husband.
That is the best way to deal with it, I think.
I know, he's so like calm about it. He's just like, oh yeah, I'll have a think and I'll get back to you, like out the car. No, I don't think so. I think she just texts him like, they want the quickie. Well, and then she's like, I don't actually want to shag you. I just want you to find someone to kill my husband. The police are a bit like, what the hell, dude? But they take it really, really seriously. I mean, one would hope you would take it seriously. He's just told them that a woman is planning to have someone killed. But you never are quite sure.
It's a lot of hate in your heart to actually want to kill someone.
It really is. Anyway, so the Boyden police realise they need a bit more information and evidence regarding this. They can't arrest someone because her ex has gone to the police and told them that she's planning to kill her husband. It's like a he said, she said situation that will go nowhere. They work with Mohammed and they make him kind of like an informant. And they get him to arrange a meeting with Dalia and tell her, hey, I have someone, and talk her through it. And they put a hidden camera and microphone in his car.
Such a film.
Oh, I know. It's so crazy. So they then film him telling her she needs to pay £12,000 for a gun and provide a picture of Mike. Dalia pays the money and says if it's done quickly, she'll chuck in an extra 20 grand. It's just she's clearly a good tipper, Olivia, isn't she, you know? Even though they have footage of her paying for the murder and providing a picture of Mike, Boyden Police Department want to secure some more evidence just so they can physically hear her saying that she wants to have her husband killed really on camera. So on July the 31st, 2009, they send in Woody Jean, an undercover narcotics officer, to meet with Dalia and pose as the hitman. Again, as this meeting takes place, the car is bugged. During this meeting, Dalia's looking around quite a lot. She seems quite nervous. She looks directly into the hidden camera 8 times. That's 8 full-on face front pictures of her in organising this. She asked the hitman, how quickly can you do this? And she actually then asks Woody/hitman, can it be done on Wednesday? Because Mike's actually going to the bank and taking out 10 grand on Wednesday. So if you shoot him then, you can just help yourself to that 10 grand. She's literally making him tip for his own murder. She's literally being like, yeah, he's taken 10 grand out of the bank on Wednesday. Just shoot him there and take the money, help yourself. What is wrong with the audacity of this woman? It's just unreal.
He's already like throwing all of his money around town.
Yeah. She's not even just throwing it around town, Olivia. She's literally like letting him take it out of his cold dead hands. Cop / hitman Woody tells her that shooting him in a public place would be a little bit problematic. And it's better to be done in the house where he can stage it as a robbery. They agree that 5 days later, on the 5th of August, would be quote unquote murder day. Woody's like, can I get the keys for your house, please? Dalia's not happy about giving her keys out. Hiring someone to kill your husband, no worries. Providing him with a key so he can do the job and get into your house, she's like, not too sure.
She doesn't want to get the carpets dirty. She's got to live in them.
She needs to sort out priorities, maybe. What the hell? So when she finally realizes that Woody probably does actually need to get into the house, she provides keys so he can get in and kill Mike. And they plan that Dalia will leave the house at 5:45 a.m. and go to the gym, and Woody / hitman will then stage a break-in at the house, shoot Mike. It's the perfect plan. She's at the gym. She has a solid alibi. In fact, it's so perfect that Dalia boldly states, no one is going to be able to point a finger at me.
Oh, honey.
Yeah, you know.
You cotton socks.
Woody, even though the money has exchanged hands and plans have been made, he still gives her the opportunity to back out and asks her if she's sure she wants to go through with this. And Dalia replies with, I'm positive, like 5,000% sure.
You know, you have to have an option to change your mind. Even if you change your mind, you're not talking to
There's no changing, no, there's no, like, I'm determined
Definitely
already.
you wanna
I'm
do this.
positive, like,
Okay.
5,000% sure.
This is so cold. Like, she must just be thinking about the money, but she's not actually thinking about that he's a person. Like, she can't love him. Like,
Oh, yeah, she doesn't give a shit. She is ready to get rid of her husband of 5 months.
he didn't do anything.
No, he's done nothing other than have a really nice condo and quite a bit of money in the bank.
Yeah.
And she wants all that to herself. She is such a sociopath. So with the murder set, Dalia was finally getting what she wanted. And the morning of August 5th rolls round, and as planned, Dalia leaves the house at 5:45 a.m. for the gym. As soon as Dalia is out the house and off the street, the police turn up at the house, knock on the door, wake Mike up, and your wife's ordered a hitman to kill you. We have to get you out of here now. Come with us. So poor Mike's like sitting down on the stairs in the house, like, what the fuck? Yeah.
That bitch.
Yeah, literally. So they go upstairs, get some clothes for him to change into, and then pop in a police car and whisk him off to the police station. The police then go to town. They put crime scene tape around the house. They have police cars, an ambulance, paramedics. They really make it look like some pretty horrific stuff has happened. Sergeant Frank Ramsey then calls Dalia and tells her to get home right away. And as I'm sure you will all remember from the beginning of the episode, Dalia is told Mike has been killed, and the fake-ass shit show of her reaction begins.
It's so funny because in the video there's this guy that's like pretending that he's been murdered, and then there's one police officer that's like looking at them with like one hand on his hip and his head tilted to the side, like, I don't believe one thing you'll say.
You know what my favorite thing about the video is, and like once we're done with this, guys, go back and listen to the beginning of the episode for the recording. She's like, I'm so sorry to tell you, your husband has been, no. He doesn't even get killed out before she's going for it.
Like, I can't say because I don't know, but like lots of people would be like, I don't believe this, but I personally probably would because I'm gullible and I believe anything. But
Like blue
you would
balls.
just be like, I don't think you'd immediately be like, no. Like, there would just be a wave that hits you, and you probably just have to try and focus on breathing and staying alive for the next couple of seconds.
Yeah, no, I like the idea that she was like driving home and looking in her rearview mirror, just practicing.
When you sent me the video earlier, I looked at the comment section, and someone just said like she went through all the 5 stages of grief all in one. Number 1, acceptance. Number 2, acceptance.
I know. It's so true.
That comment section is just so funny. I
I
really
know.
want to look at it.
Oh, they really should. So a fun little tidbit for you all out there is there's this TV show in America called Cops. It's like where they go to like random police departments and follow them around. I think it's probably similar to, in the UK, we've got 24 hours in police custody.
Yeah.
I feel like it might be similar to that, but I don't know.
But I just imagine it's like, when Chandler and Monica and friends go to a hotel and then all he wants to do is watch this like police car chase go on.
Yeah, exactly. I think it kind of is like that, to be fair. So, anyway, they happened to be filming in Boynton Beach while all this was going down, and they were there for everything. Not just her reaction, but they were there when the police were planning the sting. So the whole thing is in this whole episode of Cops. I'll put the link to the episode in the description so you can check it out. Do check it out because it's actually hilarious. But the actual TV show of Cops is actually quite important. They were filming later in this episode, so put that in a safe locker in your head and hold on to that for the time being. Meanwhile, back in the actual day this was happening, the police keep up their charade that, Mike's been killed and Dalia's this poor widowed wife that's, completely devastated. And they really set it up like she really thinks Mike is actually dead. So they take her to the station and they take her into an interrogation room, and Dalia's in there and she's crying and her fake sobbing and going on and on and on. I want to see my husband. I keeps repeating that so much, which I'm assuming is her like wanting proof of death. She just needs to see the body to make sure.
It's cold.
It really is cool. I know, she really is another level, this woman. She really is. So, Sergeant Paul Sheridan is the person conducting the questioning / comforting of Dalia at this point, and he clearly has
to do that.
I know, me too. And he clearly has zero time for her bullshit, but he does try to play along. And he's like, do you know anyone who would want to harm him or kill him? And she starts this rambling story. It's like, he's dealing with organised crime. There's always people from organised gangs around the house. It must be something to do with that. Someone in organised crime has killed him. So obviously Sergeant Sheridan knows this complete and utter bullshit. So while Dalia keeps up her fake ramblings about organised crime and crying, he advises her of her Miranda rights and asks her if she knows what that means. She's like, well, yeah. One would think at this point, especially if you're the person arranging the murder of your husband, that being read your Miranda rights would maybe make you worry ever so slightly.
Like, be like, am I being arrested?
Yeah, but no, not Dalia. She still has no idea. She's still convinced she's got away with it. She's still sobbing and crying and going on about organised crime.
If I was one of the police officers, I'd just be looking at her like, okay.
That's the thing, Olivia. They actually are. They actually are. And again, it's all in the Cops video and like the stuff below. You guys can check it out. It's hysterical. But he's literally just looking at her like, "Bitch, please." She just doesn't get it.
Thinking in her head like, "Why don't they think I'm adorable? Like, why is no one comforting me?"
Yeah, I know. It must be so difficult for her. Bless her. Poor Dalia. So Sergeant Sheridan is obviously knows all this organised crime stuff is utter rubbish. And they stage this part again, and this part is actually pure brilliance. Sheridan opens the door and they bring in Woody Jean, remember the undercover cop guy, in handcuffs and make it look like he's been arrested. And they ask Dalia, do you know this man? He was seen coming out of your house. Do you know him? And she's, no, I've never seen him before. I've got no idea who he is. And they're like, why were you coming out of her house? What were you doing? And then they take like undercover cop Woody out of the room in handcuffs. So Dalia must be like, yes, bye-bye, Woody. Yeah, literally. As soon as the door is shut, Sergeant Sheridan turns around to her. He's like, remember your Miranda rights? You know what that means? You're going to jail for solicitation of murder. That man's an undercover police officer and we have everything on tape. Now, if you were ever stupid enough to end yourself up in this situation, you have two options. Option one, cooperate and hope that goes in your favour. Or option two, do a Dalia and just start crying and repeating over and over again, I didn't do anything. I don't know what's going on. What is happening? I have done nothing. And she keeps this up. And even when they tell her Mike is alive and cooperating with the inquiry, she's like, oh, thank God. Sergeant Sheridan's like, oh, thank God. Yeah, sure. Oh, thank God. It's 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 just such Casey Anthony vibes. They literally play her the video of her arranging the hit, and she's like, "I didn't do anything." But you're ordering the hit right there. She's like, "Yeah, I know what you're showing me, but that's just not true, is it? I have done nothing. That's just not true." It's just insane.
Look at me. Do I look like a liar?
Oh, it's so insane. I was going to put a clip of the interrogation in here, but it's just so long, and it is true crime comedy gold, to be perfectly honest with you. You can't cut it. So I put the whole interrogation in a link in the episode description for you guys to check out. But she's literally being shown the video of her arranging her husband's murder, and she's like, I don't understand what's happening. I haven't done anything. Why is this happening to me? And then she proceeds to start asking when she can go home. And they're like, you can't go home.
They always do that.
I have
These
no
women
idea.
that like try to kill their husbands always say, how long is this going to take?
You know, it's just unbelievable. But she's like, can I go home now, please? And they're like, no, you're literally being charged with solicitation of first-degree murder. You're not going home. And then she's like, can I use the toilet? But can I use the regular toilet? Because I don't feel safe using the other one. The privilege and audacity of this woman is like actually unreal. Again, obviously the police just are not buying her bullshit. No matter how many times she says that the tape is fake and it's not true, they literally have her recorded hiring a man to kill her husband. As they take her to be booked and charged with this, again, they time this perfectly. And as she's coming out the door, she comes face to face with Mike, who's been taken out of the station. And she proceeds to tell him to come here and fix this. Just shouting at him, Mike, come here and fix this. She's just tried to get this man murdered. And now she has the utter audacity to tell him to come here and fix this.
It's a savior complex. Actually, it's not. It's like the reverse. It's come save me complex.
She has zero empathy towards her husband or anyone, and only cares about herself and her narcissistic need for status and wealth. She has no emotion whatsoever about the fact that she tried to get someone killed and appears to have actual no understanding about why that could be wrong. The only time she has any emotional reaction to this is when it's backfired on her and she's been caught. So once she is booked and in charge, she's taken to jail. And as soon as she's in jail, she wastes zero time in calling Mike, where she calls him and asks him to come get her from jail, and just proceeds to tell him that it's not true.
Hey, it's me.
Yeah, what's up?
Nothing, Mike. Can you please come here?
Hey, listen, I don't want to fight with you. Honestly, I can't help you.
Mike,
Don't you understand what just happened?
what they're saying is not true.
How is that possible?
Mike, I'm sitting here. It's not true. It's not possible. You wouldn't even give me 2 minutes to talk to you, but it's not possible. What they are
Hey.
saying is not true.
How in the hell did I hear it and see it?
Mike, I heard what you heard. It's not true. I heard what you heard and I saw what you saw. Everything they showed you, they showed me.
And how is it not? How are you telling me that?
I
It's
am
not.
giving you my word that it's not true.
I don't know what to say to you. I can't help you.
What do you mean?
It's out of my hands.
You're not even trying.
What am I supposed to do?
You're supposed to get me an attorney, please, so I can talk to you.
You know, one thing after another. You can't explain this one. You know? Come on, man.
You think?
What do you mean you didn't dare? You met a guy in the parking lot.
You know me, okay? You needed me yesterday. I took you right to Fort Lauderdale because of your thing, because of this, because of that. Every time you need me, I am here for you.
Yeah, she's just completely gaslighting him. I know you saw the video. They showed me the same video, but it's not true. It's just not true. She's just such a narcissist, and it's just so... She's someone who has been able to manipulate people, in particular men, her whole life. And for the first time in her life, this is not working, and she has no idea how to deal with it. So when Mike is clearly not giving in, she asks him, well, can you get me an attorney? And he's like, give me my house back and I'll get you an attorney. She's like, I'm not giving you my house back. It's my house. You're not getting it. Okay. Cool.
Could they not find a way to transfer the deeds to him now that she's done this?
I don't know. To be fair, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't look into too much the house deeds after this because I'm imagining it has gone back to his name. But so when she finally realizes that her current tactic is really not working, she stops playing the victim card and just starts accusing him of not even trying, and just screams at him to give her her house back and get out of her house. You're in jail. What house are you going to go back to? Like, what is going through her mind?
Yeah, they're not going to go back to staying in the same house. It's gotta be someone.
Exactly. So when Mike ends the call, she calls her mother, basically just tells her to get Mike out of her house because that's her house. The house is in her name and she wants him out of her house. Right. So true colours are really starting to show their love. They really are, but that's fine. So the case went to trial in April 2011. And Olivia, I will give you £500 if you can guess what her defence was.
Insanity?
No, her team that would make sense, but no, her defense team insisted that the murder for hire was a hoax planned up with Mike and Mohammed so they could get their own reality TV show.
What?
Yeah, she claimed the whole thing was faked and staged, and it was she had a script to follow, and it was all to get their own reality TV show.
Oh my god, they could have come up with something better, surely.
Sure, you would think. Shockingly,
That's
the jury
so
thought
far-fetched.
it's so ridiculous, isn't it? And shockingly, the jury didn't actually believe that either. And on the 13th of May, Dalia was found guilty in a court of law and sentenced to 20 years in prison. During the sentencing, the judge stated that she was motivated by greed and acting fully out of all self-indulgence, and her actions were pure evil. But in 2014, a judge ruled that her jury for the first trial was improperly selected, as one of the jury members told the others that she had tried to kill Mike with antifreeze, which was untrue. And so the conviction was tossed out. So Dalia was released from prison, but remanded under house arrest till there could be a new trial. She was there, a second trial was held. Again, she was charged with, on trial for solicitation of first-degree murder. During this trial, her defence was more aimed at the Boynton Beach Police Department, saying that they were corrupt and that they staged half of it, made everything look fake because the TV show Cops were filming there. So take Cops out your storage locker there, guys, in your head a minute. So her lawyer argues that the department made her scenes, the ones where she was recorded requesting a hitman to kill her husband, to look, and I quote, way worse than it ever was, for the purposes of television. This trial, believe it or not, was declared a mistrial after the jury remained deadlocked. And Dalia remained on house arrest until another trial could be arranged. House arrest was clearly not that bad for Dalia, because by the time of her third trial, not only did she have a new boyfriend, but she was also now the mother of an almost 1-year-old boy. How in the name of Mother Mary of Jesus was she able to get date and pregnant while on house arrest?
Who would go for that?
Lord knows.
Like, you're next, sunshine.
Yeah.
Maybe the boyfriend. Definitely not the baby.
Oh, God. Despite her newfound motherhood, during the third and final trial, in September 2019, a jury returned a guilty verdict and Dalia was again convicted for the solicitation of first-degree murder. She was sentenced to 16 years in prison. However, as she had already served 8 years in house arrest, she only has to serve another 8 years in prison, which is an utter joke. House arrest clearly wasn't bad. She got knocked up in house arrest, for fuck's sake. Her lawyers once again tried to appeal, but Dalia did what Dalia does best and got recorded fucking it all up once again. This time on the phone, talking to her baby daddy from prison and asking him to fly a drone over the prison fence and drop wire cutters so she can get out of jail. Is she that thick that she thinks, 1, the prison phones are not recorded, and 2, wire cutters will be strong enough to get her out of prison? My favourite part in that whole phone call is like her boyfriend was like, that's so genius. No, mate, that's really not. Yeah, I know.
It's like two morons just fell in love.
I know.
That's so smart, babe.
It's so totally genius, dude. She's not smart, she's a psychopath. Like, cut your losses and run, dude. Just run now. But yeah, that's where Dalia still is now. She's still in prison. She is such such a psychopath. She has no empathy towards anyone but herself. She only wants things to go her way, and she will do anything she can to make things go her way, and without any thought or consequence to anything that might come of any actions that she's planning to commit herself or get others to commit.
I don't know, that's someone who loved you. That's someone who's paid your way and kept you safe.
It's not just that either. It's like the blatant, well, I didn't do it. It wasn't me. I know you saw the video, but that's not real. How can you possibly think someone is going to believe that? Like, she's literally going to make her husband tip his own murder. It's unbelievable.
So bad.
It's so ridiculous. But there is so much information out there about this case. I will link a documentary below. It's a Crime Watch Daily documentary. It's on YouTube, so it's in 3 parts, but I'll link all 3 parts. I'll link some other bits of like video footage of her arranging the hit, and some other insight into her mental health, in a sense, her psychopathy and narcissism. There's a few videos on that and papers on that as well. I will link all that in the episode description below. It's really interesting. There's one video I watched, and I have linked it below, and the guy speaking it, he talks a lot of sense, but at the end of it, he's like, yeah, well, it's the classic victim of the Pretty Woman film. Like, man falls in love with a prostitute and thinks that's going to turn out well. And I have quite an issue with that statement. Yeah, it's like saying that sex workers have no feelings and can't fall in love. Utter bullshit. Sex workers work. People have food on their table.
Yeah, because it's also just like there are so many women that go missing who are mothers of children and are family members, and they go missing and no one cares because they're sex workers.
Yeah.
So we need to acknowledge it, grow up, move on, and keep them safe.
Yeah.
It's also like this idea, this like toxic idea of just like, and this happens with men and women, where you enter into a relationship with someone, don't really like who they are at the beginning, and then there's this idea that you can change them, and it's like, just find someone you like. Don't try and create a blank slate.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever you want someone to be, it's just manipulative, and it's, I don't know.
Well, it wasn't even so much she wanted to make him something that she wanted him to be. She just wanted his money and his house, really, and that has nothing to do with her profession. And like you said,
That psychiatrist that said that, it's like, you can't just think that people enter into relationships to change people. Like, she didn't need to be changed. I mean, she did, but not because she was a sex worker.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And I was a bit like, not really sure about that. I was like going through the video and took out quite a few quotes of his. And then it got to the end of it, and I'm like, let's just not quote him. I Googled him, and he is actually like a licensed therapist and like an actual physical doctor in mental health, which makes his comments so much more like worrying. But person's a person, and one's job does not define someone's worth. Everyone is worth something in this world. Yeah. But that is the story of Dalia Dippolito and her murder for hire plot to kill her husband. We hope you all enjoyed this episode. If you would like to follow us on all the socials, we are Don't Trust the Neighbours Pod, and you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and on Twitter. And if you would like to get in touch with us, please feel free to email us at don'ttrustneighbourspod@gmail.com.
And don't forget to leave a review on Apple Podcasts as well. It really helps us out.
Oh yeah, the review. I always forget about that bit. Thanks for listening, guys, and we will see you next week for another episode of Don't Trust the Neighbours. Bye!